The objective of this video is that you will know what each part of a chemical equation represents. But before we get started, let's see what you already know. Even if you weren't aware that these were the specific reactions occurring in your everyday life, or often enough, here I have the reaction that we see when we do something like lighting a propane grill. So a grill that works using propane gas. The second example is the example for cellular respiration. This third is photosynthesis. It's what happens in photosynthesis. And this fourth is the process of iron, so iron metal, being turned into rust. So you experience chemical reactions every day all around you, even when you're not aware that they're happening. But what is a chemical equation? A chemical equation is a written representation of a chemical reaction using numbers and symbols. So let's look at a couple of examples. Example number 1. Here I have 2K, and there's a little S after it, plus Cl2 with a G after it. Arrow 2KCl, and then another S after it. So what does all of this mean? Well, it should be obvious enough that the letters represent elements or chemical compounds. So these are the elements K and Cl2, well, chlorine, but chlorine is one of those diatomic gases, and KCl is a compound. Anytime we have a chemical equation, everything to the left side of the arrow is called a reactant. And everything to the right side of the arrow is called a product or products. In this case, we only have one product. This plus sign indicates that K and Cl2 are reacting together. So the plus sign indicates reacts with. And these small letters which come after the K and the Cl2 and the KCl represent the state of matter the element is in or the compound is in. So for potassium, we see an S. That just means this potassium is in the solid state. And when we see a G, that means that element is in the gaseous state. Now this arrow indicates that KCl is being formed or produced from the reaction of K and Cl2. So the arrow indicates that something is being produced or formed. And then over here, this S also indicates a solid. Now these large numbers in front, there's not one here, so it will be a 1. And here, these represent the coefficients. So this tells me how many potassiums I have. I have 2. And this tells me how many KCl's I have, which is 2. Okay, let's look at another example. Just like in the previous example, I have my symbols for the elements, and they're making compounds here. So I see NaOH plus HCl yields water plus NaCl. Just like in the previous example, everything to the left of the arrow is a reactant, and everything to the right is a product. Remember that this plus sign here and this plus sign here indicates that something is reacting. So when we see the plus sign on the reactant side, it means that those two items, these two compounds, are reacting. When we see it on the product side, it doesn't mean that the water and the NaCl are necessarily reacting together, but it means that both have been produced. Though in reality, this reaction just continues back and forth until equilibrium has been reached. But you don't have to worry about that right now. So this time we see a couple of new symbols. We see AQ and L. They still represent states of matter. The easiest one here to label is, you guessed it, L, which stands for liquid. This other one, AQ, is likely unfamiliar to you, and it stands for aqueous. Aqueous just means that this compound has been dissolved in water. That's all it means. So it looks like a liquid, but it's actually in an aqueous state because it is mixed with water. And again, this arrow indicates that NaOH and HCl reacted together to form H2O and NaCl. And last but not least, these equations actually have names. This type of reaction is called double replacement. And this type is called synthesis. And you'll learn more about that in the next video. Thanks for watching.